It was nice to hear Al Golden talk today and talk about how, you see some of the ascension from some of the young players, guys like Chris Jenkins, right? Mm-hmm. You need Chris Jenkins to step up. Yeah. You need Chris Jenkins to be a dude because that's why you drafted him in the second round. You're hoping that he takes that next step forward. He really raved about TJ Slayton. He raved about him. He talked about his work ethic, his consistency, and he said he transforms them as a unit. So I'm just very curious, how is this defense going to look from the interior spot? Because how do you get TJ Slayton, McKinley Jackson, BJ Hill, and Chris Jenkins all on the field? How does it happen? Is TJ Slayton only out there for the first and second down? And then what happens? You put BJ Hill and Chris Jenkins in there to rush the passer? Or where does McKinley Jackson snaps come from? Right? What happens with Myles Murphy? Was Myles Murphy out? Because you got to imagine when healthy, the starters are probably going to look like Trey Hendrickson and Shemar Stewart or Joseph Osai. I don't know what this is going to look like. This is going to be interesting to me. I have no idea how you're going to, because I feel like how I felt a while ago. I feel like you have a lot of players that are very similar, if that makes sense. You have a lot of players on the defensive line that are very similar. That's how I felt as the receiver. Before they drafted Jermaine Burton, what was one of my biggest gripes, Evan? The receivers after Jamar Chase and Teagan's looked all the same.
They just had a bunch of X receivers, a bunch of possession guys, except for Charlie Jones, but he hadn't been on the field except for 16 snaps in the last game of the season.
So for me, it's like outside of Trey Hendrickson. That's why you need Trey Hendrickson is the only quote-unquote game-changing defensive line player right now.
Mm-hmm.
Shemar Stewart could potentially be that, but then he also rookie. So
what if he looks like Myles Murphy's rookie?
Exactly.
There's and that's not to disparage either of them. That's just like, hey, like it's fucking hard to be a rookie and it's hard to be a good rookie. Like it's tough. Right, man. So like that's where it's like, okay, well shit, dude. Like, and especially the fact that he needs the reps, he needs the polish, he needs the practice, he needs to figure out how to use the tools in his bag to effectively, consistently get to the quarterback and have better tackling form and better leverage and understand where the ball is on any given play. And that's the upsetting part about all this. And I'm not trying to broach the subject too heavy here on the Shemar Stewart stuff, but yeah, it's absolutely part of it that you're sitting here with both of your defensive ends when you desperately need pass rush. Essentially, Trey Hendrickson's under contract, but he's willing to not play according to what he's saying right now. So what are we doing here?
Yeah. And honestly speaking, I believe that I don't think Shemar Stewart is going to look like him. The reason why is because I think Shemar Stewart is a true demon at pass rusher. I believe that. I think he needs his finishing ability, but he's disruptive. That's what his calling card is. He can really beat his man off the line of scrimmage. He's literally explosive. He's great. I don't know if the production is going to be there. I expect him to be a better pro than he was a college player. But that being said, as a rookie, expecting that leap, I don't know. I felt like Al Golden's comments when he was asked about Myles Murphy was a little interesting. I don't know if you guys got a chance to catch that, but he said pretty much, hey, it's time for Myles to step up, right? I think we can all agree it's time. I think Jerry does a great job working with those guys. It's like, well, you talked about Joseph Osai taking advantage of the reps because a guy like Trey Hendrickson is out there, but you're not raving about Myles Murphy, and he's definitely getting those reps and those opportunities with Trey Hendrickson not being out there. Is he taking that next step? He said he thinks that the game is going to slow down for Myles now. He thinks that things are going to slow down for Myles.
Third year, I hope so.
He said that what they've been working on with Myles is his pass rush repertoire, meaning after that first move, what's the second move? How are you gonna beat off?
What do you have besides long arm and bull rush? What do you do? Yeah,
what's
the counter off that?
He said he has elite speed. He has said all the right things, you know. Yeah, like he said that. If you go back and watch, he said he has elite speed. He has that ability. He's just big out there. He's strong. He's physical.
I agree with the big and strong and the power profile. I just don't quite see the
elite speed aspect.
I don't see the elite speed aspect.
So for me, I think that we need to. I have a lot of questions about the defensive line and who's going to step up. The one thing that was very good to hear from Al Golden is it seems like they're giving everybody opportunities to work in different areas. He said defensive ends working on the inside. He said inside guys working on the outside.
A little less fan of that.
I mean, I don't
really need to see McKinley Jackson lining up at head over tackle.
Chris Jenkins can.
Chris Jenkins maybe.
Chris I can get on board with. Yeah, that's about it.
But, I like the idea of Myles Murphy working on the inside. I love that idea. The power, the bull rush, the strength, the ability to affect the pocket, just getting his arms up if he's not able to get to the quarterback. I like those ideas. Those are things they're saying. He says stuff about corners playing safeties. Safeties playing corner.
I can see that a little more with maybe Dax Hill having that kind of cross training through his career and kind of doing some stuff. But man, Inverted coverage always scares me.
Yeah.
You can align differently to kind of soften it a little bit and make it a little less extreme, but then you disguise it a little bit less. But yeah, no,
well,
I mean,
for me, the big
I like the versatility idea. I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like all the defensive guys, respectfully, most of the defensive guys, especially in the back end, basically told on themselves this last year. They said we're not smart enough to retain the playbook, and everything is just too overcomplicated for us. So now you're asking them to do more. So they're not.
Well, I think maybe you're simplifying the responsibilities and the scheme overall, but you're kind of diversifying the perspectives that people have. And I think there's an advantage of that in the sense of knowing what the guys around you are doing probably gives you more confidence to pursue your avenue, to trust that other people have their responsibilities covered. I think it probably gives you a better idea of how the defense is functioning as a whole. And maybe that unlocks those plays where if you don't see anybody releasing, let's say you're the flat defender, you're covering, no one releases into the flat, you understand better that like, hey, the guys behind me and the guys to my right, they have this area covered. I can release, I can go apply pressure, I can go find somebody. I feel more confident to leave where I'm at and not just guard grass, right? Maybe those are the kind of situations it unlocks. Maybe it helps them understand the gaps a little bit better in their run defense. I do think there's probably some benefit or positivity there, but I do hear your concerns of, hey, if it was already too complicated, why are we learning multiple positions?